This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let's go. Get on your mark, let's go. What you waiting for? There's so much more. The future's yours. Let go, explore. It's yours for sure. Sing with me with fear. So to God I stay near. I keep my hand to the plow. There's no turning back now. My future look bleak. I decided to see. He said follow me. On a journey you'll see. Get on your mark, let's go. What you waiting for? There's so much more. Good morning, family. You know what day it is. It's Saturday, and it's a special Saturday because at the time of this airing, we will be in the beginnings of the journey to Christmas, and I love Christmas. I'm so happy that you guys could join me here today for tools, tips, and nuggets. That's what we do here on Lessons from the Journey Live. I'm your host and the creator, Shawn L. Brown, and I am truly thrilled and honored to take you on this journey with me today. Today, I have as a guest someone really special to me. The Lord has I guess I want to say blessed me. Yeah, he's blessed me to travel all over the world. Feels like all over the world to meet amazing people who want to do what I do, which is unite and change the world. And Romay, my guest today, she's no different. I met her on a journey by chance to South Africa, Johannesburg area, and her passion and her calling brought us together, and we've been together ever since. So without further ado, let me introduce Romay into the studio and into the conversation. Greetings, my love.
Hi, Shawnee. It's such an honor to be here today with you. Thank
Oh,
you. Thank you so much. And
thank you.
what a blessing. Thank you.
Thank you. You know, it's interesting because you're in the UK right now, correct?
That's right. Yes.
I want to ask this question before we even get started. I meet you in South Africa, which everybody knows when you look at my intro. South Africa is very important to me. You are from the UK? Are you from the UK?
No, originally, I was born in Zambia. So it
Oh,
was a British colony. Yeah. So
okay.
I'd pretty much grown up most of my life in Southern Africa.
Wow.
So Zimbabwe, Malawi, Botswana, all those areas I've spent my life. So being here is it's a gift. Funny enough, when I'm here, I'm working with the aged as well. So
Really?
it's an incredible experience. I really feel I'm so blessed to have the opportunity to be here working with aged, and then where my passion lies and the blessing in my life is going back to South Africa, specifically back to Southern Africa, and working with the aged there, working especially with the Gogos, who are the grannies. And also, it is so beautiful to see the difference in the cultures and how much I think the West in particular can learn actually from the communities in Africa because of the love and the unity amongst them.
Um,
It's incredible, and it's also how the aged are bringing that into their communities in Africa. And what I see here is the aged are very isolated, often forgotten. There's a
mm,
lot of loneliness, a huge amount of loneliness. And it's honestly the reverse, pretty much within communities in Africa. So that's actually been quite an experience for me. So I do feel I'm quite fortunate to be able to be here for a few months of the year and then have the blessing to go back home to
Yeah.
Africa. So, yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Talk to me a little bit about Gogos Give Smiles. I had the privilege of speaking to your Gogos, and I look so forward. We were just talking about it, to coming back and really being active now that I'm a granny. And I will so love being a granny. As a matter of fact, if you look at the promo and I'm doing the dedication of my life back to God, that pier that I'm on is Granny's Pier. So I feel like God is speaking through all of the things, the importance of the granny and in the life of a family. So, can you talk to me about your passion for Gogos Give Smiles?
Absolutely. I started with a lovely organization called Humble Smile Foundation.
Mhm.
That was 6 years ago. Oh gosh, now it's much longer. It's actually 8 years ago. So that was a Swedish foundation, specifically focusing on oral health for children. And they came to South Africa, to Africa. Mozambique was one of the places they also went to. And it was about teaching young children the importance of something as simple that we might take for granted, and that is brushing your teeth. And obviously, along with that comes eating healthy. And what we noticed was that it was the grannies who were taking care of the children, which from the people again from the west side, coming from the west, were very much sort of grandmothers, but why are they so involved with the children?
Hands
And
off, right?
yeah, exactly. And they just the lovely Dr. Darren Wise, who's quite well known in the dental industry, he actually just said to me, Romay, these people they are the ones that are going to get the message out there. And
Mhm.
that is exactly what's happened. So when, unfortunately, after COVID, the organization closed down, the foundation, and they said to me, sure, you can have the name, you can carry on the program of Gogos Get Smiles,
Oh,
but
wow.
we won't be able to be supporting this anymore, which was really sad. I'm hoping that they'll be able to get themselves back to a position that they would be able to come back and sort of continue the work that we started. So obviously that led to me coming and doing some work here and just building up the work that we started in South Africa. But you know what was the most beautiful thing? And that's why I just couldn't leave it and just sort of close it down, is that the Gogos continued. The grannies continued going to the schools. They continued
Mhm.
teaching the children to brush their teeth. Um, and it was just so amazing. It was hard, it just touched my heart so much. So since that time, we've been developing. Obviously, we've started off with quite small projects.
Mhm.
It's a lot about resilience, emotional resilience. I think a lot of people understand that Africa has issues, a lot of gender based violence, domestic violence, and it's those grannies that become the ones that hold the fort for the whole family. With the
Yeah.
amount of unemployment that's going on, often they are the only ones with their little bit of grant money that
Mm.
basically support not just the grandchildren, great grandchildren, and their own children. So they
Mhm.
become quite intrinsic to the family, which gives them a really uh, powerful and meaningful position. So I think the beautiful thing is the purpose that they
Yeah.
have in their lives. And, purpose and having that vision. Without a vision, man perishes.
Yeah.
And, you know, that's what I see in Africa is that the grannies they can't sit back and give up. They carry on. And any child that they see that's on the street, they will take those children in. They will care for them. I think you might even know our famous Khaleesi, the rugby player, our captain. If he tells
Hmm.
a story, it will revolve around his gogo. His gogo
Wow.
brought him up. So most of us in Africa have been brought up by our grannies. So it's sort of what happens, and I believe it's quite similar in China, India, that the grannies are the ones that bring the children and set that foundation.
Yeah.
So so
Yeah.
that's what we've built on, and we've
Yeah.
built on how do you live healthy,
Yeah.
and that's your spiritual health, your relationships, and obviously the body, the environment. So that's what we've been focusing on.
So
Um,
the main focus is to educate the kids so that they can live well.
yes, using the grannies to do that. So
Yes.
we have to empower them, which again just adds to the dignity of your purpose as you get older, and that goes into aging well.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. What kind of support do you guys supply or provide, if any, or educational support to the parents of the children?
So we do a lot of events and workshops where it's an awareness,
Hmm.
because there was actually a super article that I read by I think it was World Vision and one of the United Nations organizations, where they said if you want to make an impact in health, with young women and children, do not leave out the grannies, because if the
Hmm.
grannies
Hmm.
basically give it the nod and take it out to the community, it it basically will stick, because it's a foundation, the hand that rocks the cradle.
Yeah,
So
it really is. It really is. It's an important, I when I got the opportunity to go speak to them, it was such an emotional moment for me looking at, I mean, because it was like, for those of you who are watching this, it was like an army of grandmothers, grandmother soldiers. They look like they're uniformed up, right? They've got their bright green vests on, and I'm like, wow, like they're taking this seriously, that our children really do matter. My grandparents were very influential in my life. My grandfather, my grandmothers, both of them, and then I had a great grandmother. And because my parents were teenage parents, they were very influential in my life, almost to the point where I felt at times that they were more parental to me than my mother. And I think for a while before I became a grandmother, I didn't understand it. There might have been a little bit of a resentment. But now that I'm a grandmother, I get it. I get it. And I get it. What I get is that my daughter's learning.
mm,
Her husband is learning how to be parental. They're learning how to be husband and wife. She's learning how to be herself as a woman, right? So there's a lot of needs that the parents have, and then the baby is developing. So he has a set of needs that he needs me to be calm,
yes.
cool, patient, and focused, where they may want to be, but there's so much new happening to them that it's almost like the grandmother is the secret weapon in the arsenal of growth and development. Would you agree with what I'm saying?
Absolutely, and it's pretty much what we base our whole initiative within ECDs on, is the effect of those grandmothers. I've actually been in one of the schools, rural schools, where the kids, it must have been about 30, 40 kids in a class, chattering away, making a huge noise. And the teacher sort of like, quiet, quiet, sort of saying to the kids, let me tell you, when Gogo walked in, she just walked in, clapped her hands, and spoke to them, and those kids sat down. You could hear a
Mm,
pin drop.
yeah.
They, they just have that. I also think it's quite fortunate in Africa that there is that respect for
Yes.
for the aged, which is
Yes.
it's honestly, it is so important in a society. And what I love about another thing I do love about our Gogos in Africa is many of them have a heart for the Lord. They
Mm,
really do. We don't start a meeting without prayer and song and
mm, mm,
celebration to the Lord.
mm,
So,
mm.
that as well, it is so beautiful. So it really is the foundation
Yeah.
of the children's upbringing and understanding of going forward, in their lives. So
Oh, important.
yeah, so I think they really are very important, and we've been so honored to have a lovely lady from America that's brought this beautiful book about an American lady who I'm just longing to send it to you, Shawn, about this wonderful woman and her life and how our ladies in Africa have absolutely taken this in. And this book it's a children's book, so it's going into Alex, so it's a lovely program. And the Gogos are reading this book to the children. It's
Wow.
basically based on the nine Beatitudes. So it's emotional intelligence, how to strengthen your own resolve, how to be kind, how to be proud of yourself, how how you can spread kindness in the world. So it's basically beautiful. I know you'll love it. And what
Oh,
was
I love it just listening to them. I'm like, I feel like little my eyes are getting teary. I can see them reading to them, and I can see the kids so impressionable and taking in that information. What ages are of kids are we talking about, Romay?
okay? So the ECDs obviously start from very young. That is, I suppose, a few months old. But they also have sort of from the 3 year olds up to 6 years old.
Up to
So
six.
yeah,
Okay.
so those are the kids getting ready for school. Um,
Um,
and this is the preparation for them. We also, one of my dreams is to also get the children via the grannies again to have small gardens, food gardens in the school. Because, when you plant plants and you're caring for them, and actually that is part of this book um, that has come out, it's also about how you can plant something and make it grow and nurture it. And it's about looking after something and seeing it grow. So,
mm.
these are all such precious lessons. And it's, grannies as well are the ones who have the patience and that time to talk to us, take the time.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. I know that as a young mother and a new wife. I was at the time battling cancer. I went through cancer while being a parent. I went through 3 brain surgeries while being a parent. My children, in essence, they suffered
Yeah,
from that. But my mother was influential. My husband and the extended care team. It was valuable. It was a village. How important is the entire village? I know the Go-Go's are important, but how important is the Go-Go's relationship to the father, to the mother, and even to the grandfather? Because we talk about the Go-Go's. Is there a special term for the grandfather?
there is. It's in the Zulu word. It's makulu, which means the mature one.
Oh,
But
I love it.
But I just learned that Gogo means wise one as well. So that can be male or female.
Mhm,
So
mhm,
it's one who
mhm.
has wisdom. And funny enough, the chairman of our leader, Gogos, is a wonderful man by the name of Moses. And
Oh, of
he
course.
is, he is out there with those children, encouraging them, getting them to sing. Oh, it was so beautiful. I must say, I had these lovely American ladies who were there, what was that, in September, in tears because
Oh, good.
watching the children singing, it was too beautiful. It was Heritage Day. So everybody
Mhm.
was talking about their culture, wearing their traditional clothing. And I mean, they were just like, wow, you know. And what I love is there are so many beautiful stories in Africa. So it's something else. For Africa is also a country where storytelling is so important. And
Mm,
I think when you were there, Shawnee, and you came and spoke to the Gogos, you have no idea the impact and the impression that made on them. It was so special for them, and also for them to understand, because remember, Africa's a little bit cut off. We're right down at the bottom of the world there. And then
mhm,
people don't get always the time to travel or the opportunity to travel to see, actually experience other cultures.
mhm,
So for
mhm,
them to have heard your story, it was a story, it's such a beautiful story about resilience and survival. And
mhm,
as the women in Africa and have gone through a lot. They
mhm,
really have.
mhm,
Especially those in certain areas, they've had to struggle. They've struggled not only with the poverty, but with things like apartheid, with these things that they've had to deal with. And it's coming through that. So your story was so important to the Gogos. It really meant so much to them. And what you're aiming at, and that's why we're just so happy to be part of what you're doing as Gogos Give Smiles. Um,
oh,
it's such
wow.
a privilege because, yes, rooted and
You
rooted.
Yeah, it really is a thing. And I've been working and grinding and working and grinding and working at grinding. And there's times where I think you even said to me, I feel like you're gonna quit. I think you called me one time and you go, I feel like you're about to quit. And I think at that time I was like, I can't help these people. I can't do this by myself. It's too hard. But I don't think this was meant to be easy, right? I am coming to the place where I don't think it was meant to be easy, but every time. So the video, when we opened the show, I had no parts in putting that together. So I didn't pick pieces or anything. I just sent, here's the open to, I think I sent over 300 files. So I had no idea what was going to be pieced together, but it was ironic to me. The pieces that they picked were a lot from Johannesburg and our trip that particular day that I was there. And when
Mm,
I saw it, it characterizes the entire mission of SLB or Sean L. Brown is to unite and change the world. And when I see the ladies singing, and I remember it brings tears to my eyes every time when I think about Mark standing there and he just got tears in his eyes. And the lady, I said, this is heavenly, to stand in your purpose knowing that I didn't know any of you, right? It's not like I said, I'm going to go see Romay. I didn't even know a Romay existed. So to see God put all of this together, knowing that I was going to be a grandmother when I didn't know I was going to be a grandmother,
it's
right? Because
absolutely beautiful.
it brings so much more meaning to it. I want to ask this question, then I will come back to the Go-Go's, but I want to ask you what other projects, because I know you work with different organizations, what other projects are you personally working on or that your heart is after?
I think, as I said, firstly, this reading initiative, I think it's really important. Um, Bringing sort of awareness in aging well to the Gogos. That's really very important. So we actually, funny enough, tomorrow we have World Diabetes Day, and
Oh,
we're
wow.
celebrating that in Alex. So I'm sitting here, and I've been working on getting sort of donations and goodie bags, and working with the city of Joburg to get sort of all the Gogos to do together. So we've got about 400 people tomorrow that are basically,
Really?
yeah, focusing on this. And it's also a day when there's a lot of health testing as well. So so that's one of the awarenesses, is working on that's on the health side. Um, Really important. food sustainability is a major thing. Getting people to understand, you know, climate change, plant their own vegetables.
Mhm.
I think I've sent you that video with one of the
Mhm.
people we work quite closely with, Steve from You Can Grow.
Mhm.
Beautiful
Mhm.
story of sort of how to grow organic vegetables that can feed yourself and you can sell them, you know, to somebody who'll buy them back. So it's a way of also sort of people making money to survive as well. That's important. There's many how can I say initiatives we do. But another very big one is it's very important. I really believe in our Gogos going forward and helping them to be the solution to what is in their environment that they feel where the needs are.
Mm.
So one of the things they do as well is every month they run a soup kitchen on the grant day. So the grant day is like their pension day. And there
Okay.
must people line up from I think 4 o'clock in the morning until 3 o'clock in the afternoon just to get their small grant. And obviously often people are fainting just from the hunger because they've been standing in a queue for
Oh,
all this time. So what my Gogos do, and they're such little stars, I just love them for this, is that they make beautiful food. So, you know, fortunately I've been able to fund that because of working here in the UK. So they've been able to have these soup kitchen days where they feed these people, women and men, obviously, that are collecting their money for the day. They also go to the old age homes and help those that are older or even,
older.
yeah, the orphans that they know of.
Mm.
Um, they have an area which is a garden that has been a little bit dilapidated, which they focus on sort of getting that together. So there are many projects, but those are just a few that we really focus on because they make an immediate impact.
That
So
makes sense. Romay, what is the big vision for the Go-Go's? When you close your eyes at night and you have the courage to dream, how do you see the Go-Go's Give Smiles program broadening? And do you see it leaving Africa, or is it something that's concentrated on Africa alone?
I think this is something that we need to share as women that are grannies and as the age. You know, we are the biggest demographic as far as over 60s, the what do they call it? The baby boomers.
Baby boomers.
That's us, and we live a very long time. And we've got to have more purpose, and we've got to turn back. We've got to turn
Mhm.
back to where it all began, which was, you know, with our God. And
Yeah.
that's what we've got to go back to. And once, you know, and having that purpose and understanding and sharing. So the vision is basically to go global
To
and to
you.
be able to share our stories as
Mhm.
grandmothers and what we've been,
Mhm.
not just with our children, but also with each other. Because
Mhm.
I think that's so important. We can learn from each other. And it's, you know, where there is unity, God commands the blessing. And I just think that's what the vision is. That's what I dream of. And you know, there's many ways we can do that. One of the I think it was about 2 weeks ago, we had a huge singing competition in Johannesburg of all the different
Really?
gogo clubs come together. And they have, it's actually in Soweto in one of the big halls there. And they have a big singing competition. And you know what the gogos are like when they sing. They
Oh
just
my gosh, it's like a choir of angels.
absolutely. So they do that. And I think just sharing what they do. Oh, another project they do, which I meant to tell you, is they get together and they knit beanies for kids, they knit teddy
Really?
bears, yes, blankets, the squares, do the blankets as well. So, that it's building community, and I think sharing as well, and seeing that the world is actually a village. And
Yeah,
I
it is.
think the more we connect with each other, really, the better. We need to do that. And the aged, those of us who are aging, I think we need to. And that's everybody from the age of 50 onwards, because retirement these days, it's a long time. So
Mhm,
we need to find those ways to be mentally, spiritually, and physically healthy.
mhm. I hear purposeful. I said, I believe built in to purpose is health,
Yes.
right? That's what the keys are all about, right? Spiritually, emotionally, mentally, and physically. That's the core four. So when we take care of those core four, we are setting ourselves up for a phenomenal foundation for fulfilling purpose. But most of us don't take care of the us in it. Let me talk to you about this in your program. How focused is your program on the health of the go-go herself, mentally, spiritually, emotionally, and physically?
Very much. That's where we run events monthly, um, and the coaching. That's something really important. So it's honestly, that is probably one of our primary things. Because if you're not purposeful and full and healthy mentally within yourself, how can you be helping the people around you? So that is very important. And I do see, which I mentioned before, with the Gogos in Africa, because they have this ability of getting together so much every week. There's different things happening. They get together. They've got this community. They stand together. That is what gives them the resilience and the health. Their
Mhm.
church is a huge part of their lives. Sitting with the other Gogos, if they hear of one that, I mean, I'll often get phoned and say, that so and so's neighbors died and we need to go there. So everybody goes together, to see how they can assist that woman
Wow.
or that gentleman, you know, go and help and see what they can do together. So it's really, I think that's the purpose, without being able to reach out to each other and build each other and help each other, you're just going to be alone, you know.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think that's really important. And I
How
do see
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, and that it's a marked difference I see here in the UK as to
Hmm.
what I see in Africa. Yeah.
How many go-go's and our grandmother's period, how many are you servicing right now? About
So
approximately.
approximately, we normally have about between. I'm actually saying shame because I feel that I'd really like to do so much more, but we have to limit it to what our funds can reach out to. So, uh, as an example, for this World Diabetes Day, we limited it to 250 goggles only. I know we've got others. We've got people coming with diabetes, and I've asked about 100 of the water warriors as well, who you
Mhm,
met, to
mhm. I
join
love
us.
them too. I
Yeah,
love the water warriors.
yeah. So we had to limit the number so that we could, at least service 400 people finished. Um, but the goggles in Alex, there's probably more than 4,000 just in that area alone. And, we've been asked by Social Development City of Joburg, could we not put Soweto? Could we not do the Krugersdorp area? Could we not bring in Cosmos City? So you can only imagine the number. Can only imagine the number that just to reach in Gauteng, Johannesburg area alone.
What do you need to expand? what would it take for you to expand to these other areas and to grow? What do you believe you need?
I think for us, we need the funding. Obviously, it's the resources for the projects we are doing that's very important. And then, of course, you do. We need the prayer and the resources,
Hmm.
and of
Hmm.
course the wisdom with the direction. As well. Um, and we're quite excited about the initiative with the grannies reading to the children.
Hmm.
Why I like that initiative so much is that obviously the grannies are going to be empowered to have the right tools, and that would also sort of envelop them being trained with awareness on coaching, being able
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
coach, understand how to reach those children as well. So those, I mean, most of that they do know, but it would be how do you put a story across about the Beatitudes?
Hmm.
How do you get children to tell their story?
Hmm.
One of my Gogos who came and gave you that beautiful prayer when she
Yeah.
was
Oh my
when she
gosh.
was Gloria, yes. She was asked by one of our government schools to please come and talk to the children because the children, what the headmaster or the principal of that school felt is that the children were so stressed that they
Hmm.
just needed somebody to talk to.
Hmm.
They know how to, parents are busy and probably a little bit more strict. Obviously, they would have to be maybe, but
Hmm.
Gogo is somebody who can listen and
Yeah.
has more patience. And we should get Gloria to tell that story. I'll send
Yeah.
you a video with her telling that story.
Please.
Yes, yes.
Please. I'd love to take that and share it because, as I'm listening to you, I just feel like there needs to be an expansion of your movement. There needs to be an awareness on the necessity of the grandmother. And I believe in the United States, there needs to be almost grandparent education and the necessity awareness, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
And not just as I don't want the kids, the children to think that your children's grandparents are just to be thrown off on. But no, it is about creating a team environment with the goal being the supporting of the whole family and village so that the ecosystem of the family can actually run.
That's so true. So true. Because as well, it's teaching those grandparents. Um, this one of the systems in South Africa is that you are allowed to have what they call a daycare, where Gogos, the grandparents, take in about 6 or 8 children. Unfortunately, these kids could have been on the street. They're not even paid to look after these children often. And, they sort of desperately trying to feed these kids. Sometimes it's the only meal these children will get.
Wow.
And, in addition to that, they already living in maybe a very small confined space. So these are what we call daycares. They're not registered or, um, yeah, as places where children get proper services. So it's very ad hoc. And even those women, they just need to know the basic principles. So the events we run for awareness for the grannies become very, very important. How do you relate to a child? What senses should you be sort of developing in a child? You know, how do you get them to understand color? And what we've there's actually a paper that's just come out in South Africa, a government paper, where one of the sad things that have come is the malnutrition. So
Mhm.
often you'll see a child, especially in certain areas, they look very chubby, but they're malnourished. So
Really?
it's just like they're eating something called pap or bread. They're not eating nutrients. And what happens is that the brain doesn't grow. So
Oh.
by the time they get into school, they're already at a disadvantage. And, they just stay at that level, just falling behind. So this is why as well I keep on saying we need to get the small vegetable gardens, which we are able to do in a very small space, um, into these schools so that they can feed, sorry, into the ECDs, the nursery schools, so that they can feed the children nutrients, nutrient rich foods, which are your vegetables. So it also becomes really, really important. The government has sort of a feeding program at the schools, and a lot of the schools are trying to get gardens going within the schools. But if the kid is not properly developed by the time they get to school, and we're only talking about the nutritional dietary development, they're not going to, they're just going to fall behind. So, that's something else that we would love to be able to look at. Yeah.
You've used the term a couple times, and I want to make sure because it's not a term that I was familiar with before meeting you. ECD,
Yes.
and that's early childhood development, correct?
Yes.
And
Yes.
those are what we would call nursery schools or
Correct.
preschool.
Yes. Or a
Got
creche. Yes.
or what call it?
They call it a creche here in the UK. So
Okay.
yeah, but it's early childhood development. And they're very young. But basically from the age of 3 they should start, reading books. It's, that's another project. We Part of our reading initiative is to make sure we get books into those schools, blocks, more educational toys. It sounds ridiculous where we sort of ask for things like um, pencils, crayons,
Mhm.
um, educational toys that will help the kids. But the importance is if we can relate it to something that's meaningful, like, you know, stories that are read to them and the activity that goes with the story. So this whole story that works around the Beatitudes. The Beatitudes are sort of associated with be helpers. So be kind, be proud, be helpful. All of
Mhm.
those are little bees. So those are all the life skills that are being passed on by the Gogos to the children. So obviously they start making bees, growing little flowers that they can give to somebody, maybe go
Mhm.
home and give it to their mother and understand that their mother might be, needing somebody to show kindness,
A little sunshine in her life.
That's it. Yes.
You know, you took me to a school while I was
Yes.
there in Johannesburg and Sandton.
Yes.
Can you
Yes.
talk to the audience a little bit about that school and the I mean, it's such a special place, and I believe that I'll say this in Shawneeville, the community that I'm developing, the physical and the virtual community that I'm working to develop, the model for early childhood development that they have created is superior to
Yes.
any education I've seen in the United States. It's absolutely superior. The interaction between the families, from the food to the cleaning to the taking care of the physical body to the way that this play is structured to the age ranges from newborn all the way up to 6 years old. And by the way, what I have learned is that the emotional development of a child happens from birth to 7.
Yes.
So at
Yes.
7 years old, it's cooked in there, right? Like, so it's important what we do in these first 6, 7 years. Talk to me about that school and its mission and how you got involved with
Absolutely.
them.
Thank you. Thank you. So it's run by an incredible lady by the name of Marianne. Um, and I'm not just right now going to mention her school's name because I haven't asked her if that's possible.
Yes, yes.
Um, but I think she would love to come and speak to you one day on your program.
I was
But
thinking it. It was in my mind. I'm like, I want to interview her.
yes, but um, what her and I came together to do, and that's one of my dreams certainly, and one of hers. So she has a. Firstly, let me just give you a bit of background. Her school is so well known that she's been asked to speak to people in Denmark, in Australia. She really has put together a world class school. And one of her driving programs, which we want to initiate in Alexander, well, Alexander purely because I've got such a good foothold there with City of Joburg, but they want it to go throughout actually southern, not just South Africa, southern Africa.
Okay.
It's a program that is basically based on um, financial literacy for children. And the reason for this is, it's about empowerment. And I'm sure one of the marked beautiful things about the United States that I must say is it just stands out is how the people, they don't sit back. They sort of very early in life are sort of thinking, how do we, how do we work? How do we make money? How do we get our act together? Whereas in a lot of other cultures, that's sort of a secondary thought, especially in social systems. Um, it doesn't become the first thought. And it actually, you see how it affects children um, because they don't learn about money.
Mm.
They don't learn about what to do with money, how to make money, and it almost becomes a taboo. And when you've grown up in an environment like in many places in Africa, you've been in poverty. How do you change that mindset? How do you get out of it if everybody around you it's the usual? So what Marianne's focused on is a beautiful program which has been accredited by the South African Department of Education. It's now going into other countries. She's been able to talk about this project all over the world. Well, when I say all over the world, in a number of leading countries. And basically, it's how do we get young children to begin to understand the value of money? And it's
Mm.
quite a simplistic program. It comes with a lovely little book. Um, we had to try and tweak it to be able to work within, how can we say, more disadvantaged communities.
Mhm.
But the importance, imagine if children from those communities can understand the value of that they are totally entitled in their life to go out there and make money. And in a country like South Africa, well, let me not talk about the country, but just that area, I heard from the city of Joburg that there's probably 80% unemployment just within the Alex community. 80%. 80% of the people do not have a job.
So in essence, like I'm almost torn, but at the same time, what I saw was what LaShawn needed, and LaShawn is my birth name, right? I was a 9-year old who was hungry. And so because of that, I went out and I learned how to hustle, right? I learned, I'm gonna clean up the back. I gotta clean the backyard in my house. Everybody else has leaves in their backyard too. $5 a yard, and I got you, right? So I learned really quick, hunger and frustration will force you into figuring out a solution for yourself, right? And I saw my grandmother hustle. I saw my mother hustling, right? We didn't have a man. I didn't have a man in the house, so it was just my mom. So, I guess out of survival came an entrepreneurial spirit.
Absolutely. And I must say, when I say 80% of people are unemployed, that doesn't include what we call what do they call it? Sort of the local market. So, you will see people growing their tomatoes, selling them on the side of the street, making little cakes. So the initiative is there, and it's to grow that and get children to also start thinking that way, you know, and the value. How do you save? How do you give back into your community as well?
Yes.
So you saw that project of the Water Warriors, where
Yes.
they
Oh, it was
are.
so impressive.
I mean, this is over 3,000 volunteers within a community that have decided to clean up a river, that's running through their community, and they've cleaned it up. And that's just because nobody's doing it. They're sick and tired of waiting. So they got out there and they did it. And the Water Warriors are doing very well. Very, very
So
well.
proud of them. I'm so proud of them. I always tell my team and people, we can do everything together. I just
Yeah.
really believe that together everything can be accomplished. So let me ask you this. If people want to give, I'm always in my mind, like, how can I help? How can I help? How can I help? And I know you need things like bags, but that's very difficult for us on this side to get crayons and markers and stuff. How is this a nonprofit organization that people can donate to and have a tax write off? How do people donate resources to support your cause?
You know, yes, we it is an NGO. So we are an NGO. In South Africa, they call it an NPC, non-profit company. So
Okay.
we are registered as that. Um, as far as I understand, there are certain um, ways in which people from America can give, but we do have a facility to receive.
Okay.
As far as I know, and I think you and I need to have a discussion on this,
I
on
think
how we
so.
do it,
I think
because
so.
either there's a way in which you could receive that for various projects that Shawnee L. Brown has kind of adopted, and then it can go into those projects. So if you said,
Yeah.
I like the reading project, or we want to do a coaching project with your women, we can certainly look at it that way. I think that's something I'd love to be able to do that. I'd be honored, if we could do that. Um, the very fortunate thing is that South Africa, even though we've got many problems, our banking is pretty much up there with first world.
Okay.
So they're very strict,
Okay.
and we have to be very accountable with our taxes, and
Mhm.
if it goes through certain companies, the companies get tax write-offs. But I think that works separately in America, from what I understand. So I think maybe you and I could do that, and then we could maybe look at that early in the new year, and maybe
Yes.
list the projects that align with your vision and purpose, that we could sort of grow the whole,
The
that
whole
grow
in
the
the whole. Because
yeah.
what I'm hearing as we sit here, one of the initiatives is the Kingdom Builders Project. And in the Kingdom Builders Project, when God had me start setting everything up, he said, you will fund nonprofit organizations that do kingdom building work. So what I'm creating, everything I'm creating, from the content to the products to the music to the merch, all of those things, there is a percentage that we set aside to make sure that in our regions, that these certain regions and different organizations that we've identified, we are to provide them resources. I never even occurred to me until you spoke right now about supplying resources of teaching, right?
Yeah,
Teaching and coaching. That's a whole set of resources too that we can provide here. And we have the virtual world to be able to set that up now.
absolutely. That would be something amazing. And what it would probably take is, get a lot of our Gogos, they're really good with WhatsApp. So they do have
Okay.
smartphones.
Okay.
there's a way in which we could perhaps, link up with getting more of them onto smartphones.
Hmm.
Um, I know that there's a certain way you can use a tablet, that it only has courses that the
Hmm.
provider is putting out there. So it's
Hmm.
all digital. So if somebody took that apparatus, all it would do is actually give the courses that are specifically for
So
the children.
provided.
Yeah, for that
Got it.
guidance. That would be something amazing, because that would be a wonderful way of growing the community, especially within the grandparents, the Gogos network. That would be a beautiful
Yes.
way of growing it. Yes.
No, that's excellent. We do the global business call on Wednesdays. So what I'd love to do is when January, we've been working pretty much on the Pastor B brand this season. Our global business call has been devoted to establishing the Pastor B brand. She is you've met Pastor B, you've met Bongi, you know her
Yes.
very well, and she is doing amazing things. So it's been amazing to see her come into the Unite and Change the World ecosystem, to get her integrated with the networking groups that we partner with. So I believe that we have an opportunity to do the same with you and Gogos Give Smiles. So I'm very excited for 2026
Thank you.
and the potential that's there. How can the people reach you, Romay? Because I don't know if I have information for you. How can they reach you? Is there social? Is there an email address? How can they reach out to you if they want to connect with you and support you?
Right. So we do have a website. It's actually going to be upgraded. Okay, but we have a website which is Gogos Give Smiles. Okay.
Okay.
I'm not sure whether we can give that to you. So we have that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, give
So
me that information.
if you go on, just Google Gogos Give Smiles, it'll take you directly to our website. And if it doesn't, it'll actually take you to the work we did with Humble Smile Foundation
Okay.
as
Okay.
well, because the program was initiated when they were there. And I'm very lucky that they've kept um, the work we did on their website. They've left the website up. So it does give you what we did previously. So you can certainly take a look at that.
Okay.
That would be amazing. Yeah.
Okay. Absolutely. So, Romay, I always ask everybody to give us a nugget, a lessons from the journey nugget. So I'm going to ask you the same. Can you give us a lessons from the journey nugget? What have you learned in this season of your life that you want to share with our audience?
I think that what I've learned is, you know what? It is an honor to serve. It
Mm,
really, we are here to serve one another. You know, I was thinking about that the other day. The work I do here can sometimes get quite difficult, and I had to speak to some of the ladies, and I said to them, guys, really, it's so important. We are here to serve each other, serve families,
mhm.
serve the Lord. It's
Yeah.
love, and also I think we all understand the importance of love, and
Hmm.
to
Hmm.
have love and light in our lives. But without the service, without that faith in action,
Hmm.
what
Just
is
talk.
it?
Just
Yeah,
talk. It's not Jesus. We knew he loved because he showed it to us.
he showed us.
He showed it
Even
to us.
he washed the feet of his disciples.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
humbleness and that, and
Yeah.
we walking in his footsteps.
That's right.
So we we are here to serve through love, you
Through
know,
love.
because without the service attached to the love, it's just a clanging bell.
Ooh, Renee. I mean, Romay, you are preaching. Let me say this to you. I love you. I am
Oh, love you,
so
Shawn.
I mean, I truly am honored that God saw fit to place me in your life because you are a really, really, really special human. And I look forward to what we get to do together in 2026. I feel like I'm going to be released to play in ways that I didn't know. So I'm looking forward to the global business calls returning and us figuring out the ways in which we can get you support, whether that is through resources or whether that is just through the education and being able to bring the people from this side who can provide education. And I want those Gogos here in our virtual spaces providing information and education. So this is really unite and change the world. We help you, you help us, and together we unite our world.
Absolutely. Thank you. Thank you for having me here today. It's always a privilege to have you in my life and to be able
Oh,
to speak to you, and the blessing you are to us all, Shawnee. Just let's
mm.
all keep going. You in my prayers and thoughts every day.
I
So God
just
bless.
love you. I just love you. See, I told you guys, Lessons from the Journey Live. This is like my living room with my people. And Romay is a blessing. So you guys stay tuned and you look for Gogo's Give Smiles. How can you support? Are you a coach? Are you a teacher? Are you a trainer? Are you a grandmother with a special story? Then we want you. So you reach out to me, and Romay's information is right there. gogosgivesmiles.com. So let me say, we've come to the end. The hour goes by so fast. I know it's wild, right?
Yes.
I miss y'all already, but I'll be back here next week. And you know what I say? Go love your life. Mwah! See y'all next Saturday.
This little light of mine, I'm gonna let it shine, let it shine, let it shine, let it shine. Let's go. Get on your mark, let's go. What you waiting for? There's so much more. The future's yours. Let go, explore. It's yours for sure. Same but me with fear. So to God I stay near. I keep my hand to the plow. There's no turning back now. My future look bleak. I decided to see. He said follow me on a journey you'll see.